When you enlisted, you signed a contract agreeing to risk your life to protect our country. In exchange, the government agreed to compensate you for any damage incurred to your health as a result of that service. However, all too often, veterans are overlooked by the same system that promised to take care of them. That's why we do what we do. Hi, my name is Lori Underwood. I'm the managing attorney at Woods & Woods. We're a family-owned, VA-accredited law firm dedicated to representing veterans or their family members in pursuit of VA disability benefits. We've helped thousands of veterans get the benefits they deserve. This video is part of a multi-part series to help you learn what you can expect while working with us. Throughout this series, you'll meet some of our employees. They'll explain their specific role at the firm and describe what we need from you in each step of the process. In this video, we'll discuss how you'll communicate with Woods & Woods once you become a client. Hi, I'm Lori Underwood, managing attorney at Woods & Woods, a nationwide VA disability law firm. Once you've signed on with us as a client and we've had a chance to review your information, we will assign you to a legal team. Your team will consist of a lawyer, a legal analyst, an appeal writer, and a case manager. We will have other videos explaining the roles of your lawyer and legal analyst, but for now, we want to focus on your case manager. Your case manager will be your main point of contact with the firm. You will speak with your case manager on a regular basis. Today, you'll meet one of our case managers, Madeline. She's going to explain what this role entails.
My name is Madeline. I'm a case manager here at Woods & Woods. So I basically am the liaison from the attorney to the client itself. And so if there's any information that the attorney wants to give to the client, or if the client has any information that they would like to pass along to the attorney, I am basically that little bit of buffer. And so I'll communicate that between the both of them and then make sure the case prolongs.
At this point, you've completed our intake process and submitted the requested paperwork. Now you're probably wondering about next steps. What are we doing and what do we need you to do? Initially, the best thing you can do is be patient while we assign your case to a team and review your files. This process can take some time. We need to access your files before we can start working on your case. And as you know, the VA is not known for their speed. So sometimes there are delays. Once we get access to your records, your legal team will begin putting together your claims and appeal history to start building a plan. There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all approach to VA disability benefits. That's why we create plans individually tailored to each veteran we work with. Once your lawyer has had a chance to go over the details of your case, you will get a call from your case manager.
For the first phone call that I make to a veteran, we'll go ahead and discuss your phone number, your address, make sure that information is correct. We will go over updates that we have on the case, what we're filing for, if we're filing for anything, any questionnaires that we will be sending out, what those questionnaires are, what they entail, basically any medications as well. We also talk about your marital status, if you have any dependents. I like to go over any treatment information as well. And so when we're filing applications, like let's say we'll submit a supplemental claim or we'll submit an easy application for a condition, I'm going to need treatment information, so just doctor or facility and the address associated with that. And then when you started seeking treatment there, and then if it is current treatment or if you ended treatment and it is not current. If the veteran doesn't have any information easily accessible, like medications, for example, I sometimes have veterans who are on like 10, 15 different types of medications, and I'm going to ask you what those side effects are. If you don't have that information, then I'll send you an email afterwards and just say, hey, just as a reminder, please send me X, Y, Z. I'll be periodically checking in from time to time just to see if you have that information. If not, that's okay. I'll check back in later. But if they don't have it, it's okay. I'll just send you a little checkup afterwards.
At Woods & Woods, we want to make sure you feel listened to and cared for. This is the case manager's primary function. Our attorneys dedicate their time to case strategy, skill development, and communicating with the VA. Your communication with the case manager is critical to the process, allowing the attorney to stay focused. Case managers typically contact you through phone calls and emails, although contact can be arranged by your preference. They will be in touch with you on a regular basis regarding any news from the VA on your case, or if we need something from you.
I personally, when I'm going to call a client, it's going to be getting information from them or informing them of the next steps that we're doing in the process of their case. If I'm going to be contacting a client via email, it's probably going to be checking in on documents, like let's say I asked for a questionnaire or a form that we had sent to them and I haven't really heard anything back, I'm going to email you and just double check in and see. But there are times where a client doesn't have an email available, just that happens. They sometimes don't use email, and so I'll go ahead and give them a call. In regards to text messaging, every case manager is different. I don't predominantly use text messages, but I do have some clients who prefer me to text before I call, just to sort of give them a heads up, make sure that wherever they are and whatever they're doing, they're able to receive my phone call at that time.
Case manager should be able to answer nearly any question about the specifics of your case. If they don't have an answer, they will make sure your questions are answered by your attorney.
If it's a question that can be answered through, like, let's say my team leader or my manager, I will typically go to them, but overall, majority of the time we go to the attorney. It's always smart to run something by the attorney, especially if I don't know the answer to it, to just make sure that everything is, all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted.
Typically, veterans will communicate directly with their case manager. However, if someone else, like a family member or a caregiver, is better suited for contact, the veteran may give us permission to discuss their case with that person. A client's case manager must discuss private, medical, and personal information, and we will never share this information with anyone else without express permission. In order for us to discuss your case with anyone other than you, you will need to submit an authorized contact form or send us a copy of your power of attorney for someone else if you have one.
We have two different types of contact persons. There's going to be a regular contact and an authorized contact. The difference between the two is that if they're an authorized contact, I'll be able to discuss the details of the veteran's case with them. A regular contact, I won't be able to discuss the details of your case. The purpose of a regular contact is just to see if I can't get in touch with the veteran through that person. Anybody can be an authorized contact, but we do have to have the correct information and form back to us to make sure that we're able to communicate with them that sensitive information.
You can expect to hear from your case manager for several reasons. For example, when we need additional evidence. One advantage of hiring our law firm is that we not only look through our clients' old evidence, but we also help develop new evidence to strengthen their appeals. Our attorneys understand what evidence the VA wants to see to approve your claim. That's why we work with a network of highly trained medical professionals who have experience working with veterans and their medical records. Unlike your typical doctors, our team understands how to convey your health information to the VA. Your case manager may contact you to schedule appointments with one of these professionals. We will have another video on developing evidence later in this series if you would like to learn more. Your case manager will also contact you if your legal team has any questions regarding the information in your files, if something has changed in your case, or if we need your permission for the next steps in your case.
Conversations can get pretty personal when we're speaking with veterans. It's a variety of tough conversations and topics that occasionally have to be addressed in regard to, let's say, PTSD, or even discussions of ED and other sorts. It's personal, but only ever, I always make sure to disclose, hey, this topic is personal. If you're not comfortable with discussing this information, please don't feel pressured to. However, I am open to hear whatever information and any information you want to give me. I do realize that a lot of this information that we're discussing and the topics that we're going to go over is personal, sensitive, and can most likely make a veteran uncomfortable. But in regard to, let's say we're talking about PTSD for new and relevant evidence for a claim, I will go over sort of, did you have it before service? If you felt like you got PTSD during service, was it an overarching PTSD account that you experienced, or is there one moment in particular that caused you your PTSD, and what did that look like? And the reason why it's important is because that is new and relevant evidence supportive to the claim. And so when the VA receives that in regard to, let's say we file for mental health disorder or depression, anxiety, PTSD, they will take that and they'll look at that statement and use that statement in whether or not they're going to make a decision for granting a condition or denying a condition. And so it's important that they give the best account that they can of what has happened, but understandable, it is hard. Just know that as case managers, we're trained to always be here and be supportive and make sure that you're comfortable with anything that you're giving us. So there have been times where, let's say the conversation, we're talking about ED and something along the lines of like intimacy issues or PTSD causing intimacy issues in your relationships. That can be really hard to talk over the phone for somebody that you don't even know. So there will be times where I will send a list of bullet points of being like, hey, XYZ, this is what we need to talk about. If you can go ahead and just write me out a statement, I will get that statement and I'll send it for attorney review, make sure that's good. And if the attorney comes back with me and is like, hey, I need a little bit more information, I will then send out those bullet points as well, and we can sort of get information from you that way.
You can help your case move along smoothly by contacting us when a major change occurs in your life or your health, or anytime you hear from the VA. While the VA should notify us of any updates on your case, it is likely you will receive notice before we do. It is a good idea to keep us informed when you hear from the VA to ensure that we are up to date. We also want to hear about any major life changes that could affect our communication with you or your case. For example, we need to be informed if your contact information changes or your address changes so we can stay in touch with you. Additionally, keep us notified of any major life events that could impact your claims. For example, it's imperative that you report any changes in your employment status. Your work status is likely a major component of our strategy. The faster we know about these types of changes, the quicker we can decide how to proceed. We also need to be notified about changes to your marital status, so you should notify us if you get married, divorced, separated, or have a new child while we are working on your case. Lastly, we ask that you tell us about new symptoms you are experiencing or health conditions you have been diagnosed with. There's a chance they may be related to your service or secondary to a pre-existing service-connected condition. If that's the case, you may be eligible for additional compensation.
When we're not informed of a divorce, let's say that ex-husband or ex-wife was service-connected as dependent benefits for a veteran, and the VA finds out, they will contact you and say, hey, we've been paying you for this person as a dependent and they have not been your dependent, so you have to pay us all that money back, which over time that can accumulate to be a significant number. In regard to employment changes, let's say we're pursuing a veteran for an IU claim, so the individual unemployability claim. The full thing is TDIU, so that's total disability, individual unemployability, and that predominantly focuses on non-working veterans. Not informing us of a change of address is, in my opinion, I would say pretty significant. That means no mail's getting to you. And so it's always important to keep me updated, like change of address, change of phone number, email, anything like that. Like I've had a veteran, I've had an international veteran, and he changed an address. Well, for the VA form that they have for the change of address form, international addresses don't fit on that form. And so if he were to be able to fill that out, it would have been filled out incorrectly, and he probably would have gotten a letter saying, hey, we can't accept this. And so we find ways that we're able to submit that form with that proper information. And also going through us before anything else is always just a good idea, because the attorneys have spent years and years and years figuring out the VA and their processes and how they work. And so if there is any bit of information that needs to be submitted to the VA, it's vetted by the attorney to make sure, hey, there's not going to be any problem with this going forward. Keeping me informed of symptoms and conditions is incredibly important. In regard to symptoms, There are times where symptoms can be service-connected as secondary to already service-connected conditions, even as well as if you develop a symptom with the medication that you're taking. And so it's always good to keep me informed so that I can keep the attorney informed and see, hey, this client is experiencing X, Y, Z, this is new, it has incurred onset from, let's say, X medication or X condition, do we want to file for this? And then the attorney will be able to get back with me and let me know, hey, this is a good idea, hey, this is a bad idea, and just sort of how we're going to move forward.
Our case managers do their best to respond to you as quickly as possible, but keep in mind it may take anywhere from a few hours to a few days for them to return your call. Our case managers have a duty to provide quality care to all of our clients. This means that some communication has to take priority over others, but we promise you are a priority. You should hear from your case manager within a week after reaching out.
The way calls come in for case managers is sort of like a queue. And so let's say a veteran calls and leaves me a voicemail, because if they call and they don't leave me a voicemail, it doesn't go into my queue. But when they call and they leave me a voicemail, I'm like, okay, I have to respond to them within a specific amount of time. But if veterans continue to call and continue to call and continue to call, then they're bumped out of that queue. And so it's best to call me once, get the information out, and I will get back to you. And making sure I get back to those clients in a timely manner and an orderly fashion is what is most important to me and my other team members, to make sure that you stay informed, we stay addressing the information that we feel like is pertinent to your case. In regard to something that's more time sensitive, like let's say we have a proposal to sever, proposal to reduce, which is a 30-day deadline. Through the system that we use, we are able to red flag it to the attorney to make sure, hey, you have to review this within 24 hours. Make sure that this is addressed as soon as you can. In regards to prioritizing more time-sensitive information, there's ways that we can track it in the software system that we use that will automatically bump that up to the very top of my checklist. And so myself and other case managers, we go by sort of like a task list and sort of XYZ, this is what we need to do, this is when it's due, and this is who it's for. And so when you receive something like a PTR, a proposal to reduce or a proposal to sever, we're able to see, hey, that's at the very top, this is what I need to address before anything else. We're required to reach out every 60 days, and so if I haven't sent you a letter, if I haven't texted you, I haven't called you or emailed you, I'll reach out every 60 days, check in, say, hey, are you taking any new medications? Are you having any new symptoms? Have any of your symptoms worsened? Have there been any change in your dependent benefits? Have there been any change in your Social Security benefits? Stuff like that, just to make sure that even while, let's say, we're waiting on the VA to respond to us for an application that we filed, and there's not much for us to do on our end. In that case, I'll go ahead and be proactive, reach out, make sure if there's anything that I need to update or do on my end, I'm able to do in that time period while we're waiting.
We wish we could tell you how long the VA process will take, but the timeline is different for every case. Wait times for decision reviews at the VA regional offices are measured in months, while wait times for BVA appeals are measured in years. VA's backlog of pending claims and wait times are unacceptable and unfortunately out of our control. We will do everything we can to ensure the VA is processing and moving your claims along. This does mean, however, that we often work with clients for years. We can't control how long the VA will take to review your claims. The only way to make the process faster is to do your best to set up a claim for success with every appeal. The most important thing is never giving up and working together to make sure you get the result you deserve. That's the advantage of hiring an attorney. We understand what the VA needs to see to make a decision. Something else to consider is that while we often work with clients for years, it doesn't always take years to receive some wins and some back pay. Often our clients receive multiple grants and back pay deposits while working with us. Ideally, the VA would grant the veteran everything at once, but the system is far from perfect and wins often come in steps. During this process, case managers build strong relationships with their clients, getting to know them throughout the entirety of their appeals process.
Because cases do take pretty long, we do get to know veterans very well over the phone. And I also know a lot of the people that work at the firm have some form of military connection in their families. My grandpa was a Vietnam vet. And so it just happens, for some reason, I have a lot of Vietnam veterans. And being able to sort of relate and talk about my family and their family and just getting to know them over a period of time is something that I have been incredibly grateful for. There was this one client, and I had them for so long, just the sweetest couple. And it was always, I spoke with the veteran and I spoke with the wife. And I remember one of the days we have a process of, okay, we receive a rating decision, we see the fee that they have been awarded from the VA, and it was like $80,000 in back pay. And I remember sitting in my cubicle, and it was when we first got into this building, and I screamed. I seriously, I was so excited. I stood up and I went over and I told my coworker, and I was just so happy for this veteran. These relationships that we build over time with these people are so significant. And I know about their children, and I know about the vacations that they go on and the cruises that they go, or I know that the struggles they experience and the things that they can't afford, and how hard that they've worked and served and dedicated their life to making sure that we stay safe. But they're still some of the kindest people in the world.
We hope that this video has walked you through what you can expect from your case manager here at Woods & Woods. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section below and we'll answer them as best we can. In the next video in this series, we'll talk about case strategy. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to receive alerts when we publish more videos. If you'd like a free consultation, either call the number on the screen or fill out the contact form, which is linked in the video description. You can also visit us online at woodslawyers.com.